I'm Bonnie. Welcome to Tarot with Bonnie and Peter, where we take the mystery out of the tarot and help you bring this ancient practice into everyday life. In this podcast, we'll talk about life, tarot, and everything in between. So grab your tarot deck, get comfortable, and start your journey to tarot with Bonnie and Peter. Welcome to Tarot with Bonnie and Peter. I'm Bonnie, and today we are continuing our conversation with the Major Arcana. For the past few episodes, we've been pulling cards and sort of pretending that we're having dinner with the card. So we've been asking the card questions, and then each one of us has been answering as if we were actually that card. So this keeps Peter and I on our toes. We don't know which card we're going to pick ahead of time.
Here, I'm shuffling the cards right now.
Yeah. And we hope you're enjoying this format. It's just a way of getting to know the majors in a different light. And again, we're just kind of thinking of these things off the top of our head. So if you have any suggestions or comments, or you think of different ideas than what we're talking about during our episode, we'd also love to hear from you. So make sure you comment, make sure you let us know. But we're going to continue doing that today. So hi, Peter. How are you?
Good, Bonnie. How are you? I'm just shuffling away. I'm realizing that the deck, it feels funny to shuffle a deck that I think there might be 12 cards in there.
Yep.
You know, and yeah, it feels funny because we've already met some people and we've taken them out of the deck. But
yep.
Yeah, because we had, just so people know, we had talked, because we've done episodes on all the other cards. Like we've done an episode on the court cards. We've done an episode, we've kind of gone through the ace to 10 pip cards. And we want to do the majors, but we wanted to do something a little bit different instead of, and there's a lot of value in an episode per card or whatnot, but we thought this might be a more kind of unique way of looking at it. So, it's not just about card interpretation. It's a little bit different. It's, in conversation with whatever two cards we draw. So do you want to start? Do you want
me to pull first? Okay.
Sure. I think
I'm using Tarot of the Witch's Garden by Sasha Graham. I think I've been using this for the past few episodes. And okay. Oh, I'm scared. Oh, I pulled the Magician.
Oh, did you? Okay. Oh, look, yep. I was going to say I was going to go through my deck to pull the Magician out, but it was literally the first card sitting right there. So
isn't that funny? Because this was the first card on top. I pulled which I normally don't do, but this was the first card on the top of my deck.
So we've got the Magician, and we have.
Oh no, what is it?
We have the Tower joining us for dinner today.
Oh,
I know.
Magician in the Tower. Ooh.
That's gonna be some interesting conversation. I'm trying to think,
because they're so different.
They are, but they're part of that kind of 1, 8, 15. No, they're not. Never mind. I was thinking, no, it's the devil. Because I was like, oh, wait a minute, they're kind of linked, but the Tower is 16. And I almost wore my Tower t-shirt today. I almost wore my Tower t-shirt today. Because I wanted to dress in black because no air conditioning, my bladeless fan is going, and I'm like, I'm going to be dripping in sweat. So black is the only color that I'm going to wear for those that are watching. And I'm using the Luna edition of the Ethereal Visions Tarot as well by Matt Hughes. So I've been using that one too. I think I went rogue one episode, but I've been using this one. It's interesting too, actually, because the Tower only has one person falling from it, and they're masked. And because it's the Luna edition, it actually has like that silver foil. Mm-hmm. And the mask itself is actually foiled. So that's interesting. I wonder if that'll play into any of the conversation. Mm-hmm.
And my version of the Magician is a female magician as opposed to a male magician. So it looks very similar to the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith card, but it's a female. So we'll see.
Yeah. A lot of green there too, right? Which you wouldn't see in the...
Lots of green animals. There's a black cat. I think there's a fox. She's got all the elements on the table. So yeah, well, this will be an exciting episode.
It
I'm
will
I'm
be.
scared and I mean,
I'm
I'm
scared.
nervous and
Yeah.
excited at the same time.
All right. Okay. So it- I've got my list of questions sitting in front of me. So may I ask you the first question as the
Oh my God,
magician?
I'm scared. Okay.
All right.
Whew. Yep.
So if you could travel anywhere in the world right now, where would you go?
The magician. Where would the magician go? Oh, this is tough.
Yeah.
Where would the magician go? Okay, you know what? I don't this okay. I'm really going with the theme of like go to the first place that popped into your head, Bonnie. So I'm gonna go to Stonehenge.
It's
I think that's a pretty, I've never been
hmm,
there. That's on my list of places to go to, but it's a very magical place. And I don't know if that's like what they refer to as
hmm,
one of the sacred sites, but I think if you go to Stonehenge, there's a lot of magic that can happen there. And I think that's where I'm gonna go. I'm booking a ticket and I'm going there.
yeah. I've never been either. So I love that choice for the magician because it's a commonly known magical space and it has been for quite some time. And you can imagine people doing, their ritual work and trying to manifest the energies in the same way the magician would.
I was just
Nice
going to say
call.
that. Like you can imagine bringing your tools there and
Hmm.
setting up a little sacred circle and manifesting, right? We think about the magician. What is the magician? The magician is power. The
Yeah.
magician is this idea of you have the ability to create the life that you want. Take that to like a sacred place,
Yeah.
a site where you can do this ritualistic work and know that what you're doing can really make a difference. So,
Yeah.
okay.
I think the Druidcraft Tarot, and somebody please
Mm.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the Druidcraft Tarot's magician actually has a Stonehenge like um, um, like obelisks in behind with a stone altar in front as well. And I don't think it's called a magician. I think it's called something else. I'm going by
Ah,
memory because I haven't seen or used that deck in a little while, but
I don't
um,
have that
yeah,
deck.
I'm almost positive that that's what the representation of the magician is in that deck. So, what a good
Well,
call! What a good
okay,
call.
thank you.
No, you were going to say something else there.
Yeah, I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna save that.
Okay, all right. And we
Yes.
can't give everything away because when you said Stonehenge too, of course, as I think about the cards that we haven't come across yet, Stonehenge might have been a choice for another card that had come up. But
Oh,
now I'm going to have to think of something else. So there you go.
I know. I'm listening to songs now and I'm thinking about things. I'm
I
like,
know.
oh, I wonder if that would relate to this card. So
I
it's
know.
but I never thought about this with the magician hasn't been one that I've been thinking about. So okay, interesting. Okay, so Tower. If you could travel anywhere in the world right now, where would you go?
Yeah, look, I mean, as the tower, I'm probably going to go. I'm going to go to a battlefield of some kind. Like I'm going to go
Mm.
to some place that I guess in some ways honors, because I'm looking at it from the tower's perspective, honors the sacrifice that people, the ultimate sacrifice that people would have made, but through that idea of war and destruction. So I'm probably going to a place that I wasn't. I went not that long ago with my son. I'm probably going to the Vimy Ridge Memorial.
Mm.
So and it literally the memorial itself looks like two large towers, up, kind of, making their way up into the sky. So that Mars energy that kind of comes with the tower, the idea that the tower is about ripping things down. And then, to also think about, from a historical perspective, I guess World War I did change the course of certainly European history, for quite some time. And then to look at it from a Canadian perspective, thinking of that idea of Vimy that changed sort of our national fabric, or at least one of the events that changed our national fabric as Canadians. So that's where I'm going. I'm the tower. I'm going to somewhere that was destructive, and something that where the destruction caused change. And it even for those who don't know what the Vimy memorial looks like, if you do a search engine look for the pictures, you'll actually see that it very much looks like the tower as well. So
Oh, wow. I'll have to look that up.
that's where I'm off to. There you go.
Thank you, Tower. Okay, so do you have a favorite book or movie? Oh no, sorry, did we skip one? Oh
No, no,
no,
no,
do you
no,
have a
no,
favorite
no,
book
no.
or movie?
Look, you know what? Uh, I mean, I was gonna say Die Hard, right? Because,
Oh,
but, um, I thought that's just, that's an easy response. But actually, you know what? I'm gonna go with, and I think it's just celebrating its 50th anniversary. I'm gonna go with Jaws. Um, both, and I would pick the movie, but I'd actually probably pick the book by Peter Benchley because it was one of the very first books I ever read, and I remember. Um, so it came out in 70. The book I think came out right around the same time of the movie. I think it was 74, and I would have been a young boy. I think I read it probably 77, 78. I wouldn't have been much older than 10 or 11. And the cover of the book had Jaws kind of coming up from the depth of the water, and it had a naked woman swimming on the surface of the water. And my mom knew I loved horror. She bought me the book, but she scratched out the
oh,
naked image on the book. And I was like, I totally remember that. It was my introduction to horror genre, which is by far my favorite genre. But it is a book. It is a story about destruction,
mm,
and ultimately the evil is succumbs to goodness, but not without causing an awful lot of damage. So yeah, Jaws, the book by Peter, I think it's Benchley, um, is my tower choice. No, I think is that the first book? No, it's not the first book I picked. I think I did a book with one of the other ones, but usually
it's funny.
yeah. So,
Steve and I were just talking about Jaws. We were talking about because he said too, he's like, "Oh, I think it's the 50th
yeah, I think
anniversary
it
of
is.
Jaws." I thought Jaws was older than that. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I've yet to read the book. I've yet to watch the movie. That causes my nervous system to go
Well, and
into massive amounts of overdrive. So
I'm
I don't know that I could handle watching
I'm
that.
pretty sure it's the 50th anniversary because I think the way I found that out is, a meme on some social media where people were in inner tubes in a lake watching the movie on a screen that was
No.
projecting beside. Yeah. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Like, I know there are no sharks in the lake, but there's no way I could relax watching the movie. And, and I again, this is a genre that, I love that, but no, 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 no,
Well,
no.
it's funny that you said about your mom erasing, the picture
Yeah.
on the book. My husband Steve was saying that he remembers his dad taking his brother to watch the movie at the theater, but Steve was too young, so his dad wouldn't let him go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
And I don't think I saw the movie at the theater. I can't remember when I saw it. Probably years later on, VHS or Laserdisc, which my dad was a big fan of it, at the time. But now I'm dating myself big time. So, all right. Well, magician, do you have a favorite book or a movie you recommend to everyone?
Yes, I have two.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna do book and
All
movie
right.
and then book. Well, actually not movie. It's book and mini series and then movie
Okay.
because I can't decide which one I want to talk about.
All right.
Um, okay, so and this just like popped into my head. So because I mentioned Stonehenge and I read this book many, many,
Oh,
many years ago, but I haven't seen the series, but it's also a series. It's called The Outlander, and I can't remember the author's name. This is terrible. Um, it's not, I don't believe she goes to Stonehenge, but she goes to
hmm
a place where she puts her hand on like an
hmm
ancient stone and she gets transported into a different time. And she does this several times. So the idea of the magician having the power to do what they want to do is almost like her having this power to be like, I want to go back to that time, right? Like
hmm
at first she doesn't know what's going to happen. And then so such a great book. But the other movie, like I cannot not mention this, especially when I see this card. There's a female, she's got all her elements on the table, is Practical Magic.
Magic, yeah.
Come
Yeah.
on. It has to be Practical Magic for the Magician. That is such a great movie. I love Sandra Bullock anyways. I just recently watched that movie probably about a year ago with my girls. And yeah, such a great movie. Again, about knowing that you have the ability to create the life that you desire. And yeah, like what can you put out? You know, it doesn't always have to be about magic. Like it's very
No.
ritualistic
Yeah.
and magic based. But again, it gives you this idea that you have power. You can take action to do things that you want to do. So those are my picks.
Okay. I'm so surprised you didn't mention Jamie Fraser as you talked about Outlander.
Isn't that what I said? Oh,
No.
oh, Jamie Fraser. Yes. No,
Yes.
you know why? Because I haven't seen the series. I watched the book, so I have the picture of him in my head,
Yes. Oh yeah.
but I haven't seen the series. Although maybe now I should probably watch it.
You probably should. You probably should. And I suspect that there will be some people who are watching who will also put in the comments and tell you that you probably should. Both the book and the movie, are actually were and probably still are in rewatches popular in this household as well. So
Well, you know what's funny because he has in the book he has red hair,
yes.
and this magician in this card she has long flowing red hair. So that's funny the correlation between.
Well, I love Practical Magic because that could be a word, that could be two phrases or two words you use to describe the magician, right? That idea of practical magic, right? Okay.
Yep.
Next question I think is for you because I think we kind of go back and forth, right?
Right. Okay.
So, all right. So, what's your go-to comfort food?
Okay. What would the okay? So, a few years ago, we were in Mexico. We like to go to Mexico for family vacation. So my husband ordered ceviche, which he loves, but it came in like it came presented with like a what do they call it? A cloche or something like something over top, like a glass lid over top.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they pulled it out and it was like smoking. I guess they had put like nitrogen or whatever that makes it like smoke. So you couldn't see the ceviche underneath, but it was this incredible presentation of this offering. So when I think about the magician, it's kind of like poof, here it is. So yeah, I'm gonna go with ceviche, but I'm gonna go ceviche served in this amazing glass lid, smoking, and then being presented in this most magical way.
We have the speakeasy that's not that far from where we live, so it's like that. Yes, and you see they've got the suitcase whiskey.
Yes, Steve did that.
Yeah.
It's an old fashioned, I think, right?
It's an old fashioned. You're right. Yeah, but I think it's called the suitcase old fashioned, and it's about $10 more expensive than the other cocktails that are there. But just the way you mentioned that, the idea of that presentation and poof, and here it is. It's almost that because the magician is also, a bit of an illusionist as well. It's like, I'm going to make everything, appear much grander than it is. So when you talk about that idea of that nitrogen infused thing, so Steve has had that as well.
He's had two of them.
Yeah. I think I've had it. I think I've had it twice. There's a video somewhere. I'm sure there's a video on my Instagram feed of that suitcase being open and the glass being reached out because it is kind of an
so
interesting.
Cool.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. So I love that.
Yeah. Okay, Tower. What's your go-to comfort food?
So my go-to comfort food is actually going to be a very basic comfort food. It's going to be a burger. However, I'm the Tower, so I want it deconstructed. I'm actually going to have a deconstructed burger. That for people, the deconstructed when you're talking about cuisine means it's kind of pulled apart. So all its pieces are kind of on the plate and they're not put together. So that's because when I think of what kind of food would have a tower-like look to it, burger. I think for me it'd be a beef burger because that's a very Mars-like, right? It totally it's got that. It's got it's got almost an aggressive nature to it. And funny enough, and for me personally, a burger would actually probably be comfort food. I'm, very much a protein kind of person. And if I'm seeking comfort, then yeah, burger salad, or if I'm really seeking it, burger fries. Um, that's where I would go. But to respect the tower as the tower I want it deconstructed. Oh, I want it blown up just like the tower. I want it all over my plate.
Well, that's usually what happens when you eat a burger.
Yeah,
it explodes.
Totally.
And quite often I'll eat it with a fork and a knife sometimes if it's super messy.
So
and my
glad
kids
to
are
hear
like,
that.
really, Mom?
Yep,
I'm like,
I thought I was the only one.
No.
Yep.
No. It gets to that point where I'm like, I can't pick it up anymore.
That is my Mars and
I
Virgo,
love the deconstructed burger.
Yes, Mars and Virgo for me. I want, there's an element of neatness that has to, my chaos has to come with a little bit of order. So, I know I'm with you. A messy burger. I'm gonna at some point I'm going knife and fork because it's dripping all over the place. So that's what I've got. That's the tower is the comfort food for the tower is a burger, but it's deconstructed. So
cool. I love it. Now I want a burger.
Yeah, I know. I know. Me too. But
and an old fashioned.
Oh, all right. Well, the place I was thinking of, that has some decent burgers here in town is actually the restaurant that's just above Revival. So you could probably do that. Probably do an old fashioned, do the smoky old fashioned or the suitcase old fashioned and the burger.
True.
All right.
Yes. So
you asking me, right?
Sure, I'll ask you. Okay, if you could try a job for a day, what would it be?
That's a hard question for the tower. If I could try a job for the day, what would it be? Because there are a bunch where I'm like, they would fit inside the tower kind of mode. I thought about, soldier. I thought skyscraper construction. So yeah, that's probably where I would have. I'd go back in time and I would take a job, either at the turn of the last century, so late 1800s, early 1900s. Where safety would have been a huge concern and where death would have been, a reality to make it risky for the tower. And I would spend a day like walking the girders, doing skyscraper build, whether it's, the Eiffel Tower, in the 1880s in Paris, or whether it's later and starting to build some of the skyscrapers in a lot of the major cities around. So that's the job I would take. If I was the tower, you could see me sitting on one of those girders with my hard hat and my little lunch pail, having my break 40 stories above the ground with no net and no safety harness. That's probably what the tower would do if they were going to do a job for the day.
My nervous system is kicking.
Well, look, that's one thing that
I'm thinking about that. Wow.
If the tower is not here to make anyone feel comfortable or easy. Mm-hmm. That is not the tower's purpose. So, I'm keeping that in mind as well.
That's true.
All right. What about you, magician? If you could try any job for just one day, what would it be?
I could say a magician, but that's a cop-out. This one's tough. I'm gonna say actor. Because okay, I'm gonna say actor, and I'm going to say actor because I'm gonna act in a role of something that I want to manifest in my life to see what it would be like if I were to have that. So I'm going actor, and I'm gonna be I'm gonna pick the role that I want to play. I'm going to be a demanding actor, and I'm going to say, this is the role that I want to play. And I'm going to play it like I'm that person. And I'm going to do that so well that that's going to manifest in my life.
Okay. Now, will you be, you say a demanding actor, will you have a demanding writer as well? Like only read M&Ms, and...
Oh. No, I meant demanding actor in the sense of like, I'm playing this role. Like, don't offer me anything else. This is the one I'm playing. What? But maybe I could be demanding in that sense of, only.
Well, you're the magician, so you would make it happen regardless, right? So
you're right. I can have anything I want. That would, you're giving me something to think about, Peter. If I could just like request anything that I wanted to have, I could get that probably. So thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Awesome.
Well, I mean, I don't know if this next question is linked, but it might be. Do you have any hidden talents or any quirky skills?
Ah, I mean, of course, the magician has many talents and quirky skills. I'm going to say I can, okay. I'm totally going magician route. You know, when you watch those shows and they literally like hold up like a cloth
Hmm.
or something and they disappear and
Right.
like, where the hell did they go? I can do
That's your
that.
skill.
That's my skill. Like literally, you can't figure because it happens in a second and they're gone. So
Mm.
where did they go? I have the ability to disappear and it's going to be really hard for you to figure out where I went. Like not like a cheesy act
Not
of
like
disappearance.
those reels I see on social media where, somebody's trying to freak their dog out and they put a bed sheet and then they throw the bed sheet up and they hide behind the chair and the dog's kind of like, yeah, are you ever stupid? Like, I know exactly where you are. Not like that.
No, or the ones where they like it's like the other person is in the thing and it's literally a
Yeah.
second. Like
Mm,
how did that happen?
mm.
I don't know, but I have that skill.
Okay.
Yes. How about
Awesome.
you, Tower? Do you have any hidden talents or
Uh,
quirky skills?
yes, I do. And I'm going to link to my own interests. Tower is an incredible Jenga player,
Yes.
right? So the
Yes.
tower can figure out exactly where the weak points are in a Jenga structure and pulls out exactly the right piece to be able to build the Jenga tower as tall as possible. So my skill, my quirky skill is I am a Jenga player extraordinaire.
Okay, Tower. What's a song or artist you've been listening to lately?
You know what? So I'm I talked about the idea of the tower sort of being, that card of war, destruction. So I'm going literal here, and my the song that I've been listening to is "Low Rider" by the band War. Right,
I
I figure.
love that
Right,
song.
yeah, right. I
Yeah.
figure the band's name is War. That is very tower like. And it's even got that kind of depth. That low rider. It's
Right.
exactly right. And but it's the juxtaposition of the two as well because it's got a very kind of gritty and grindy vocal, and then the melody line kicks in. It's like do 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 do
Kind
do.
of like
Right,
kind of like Tower
right.
energy,
Totally, totally. All right, totally.
right?
It's like, yep, I'm going to knock it all down, make it really low and gritty. And then once everything is cleared up, I've got some room to build something that might be better and lighter and all kinds of stuff. So, that's where, and it's so funny because, we've got the list of questions in front of me. And this was the one question where I'm like, oh my goodness, like what on earth? Okay. Let me think about, and this is, so, when we think about when you're stuck with an interpretation, and we really are kind of pushing ourselves here because, it's not like we're interpreting questions in the card. We're literally, asking ourselves conversational questions based on a character. And
Mhm.
this one was like, what on earth? Because I thought maybe a protest song. Like I thought, perhaps, like I thought of Ohio by Neil Young would be another one, which was kind of the protest. I think of the Kent State shootings in the 1970s. But then I thought, you know what, War. And then as soon as I thought War, I was like, oh, wait a minute, I know exactly what song I'm going to go with, Lowrider, and
Yeah,
then
that Tower would be a tough one. I have do you want to hear
I
what
would
popped into my
love
head?
to. Yes, yeah. Because what song or artist have you been listening to lately? Oh, magician.
Right, no, if I was the Tower, I'm
Oh,
going to
you're
give
the
you my
tower.
Tower and then I'll give you my
Okay,
magician one. My magician one for me is like that one was easy. The
easy.
Tower one,
Yeah.
I'm going to say Little Earthquakes by Tori Amos.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. That
I
and it,
love her.
yeah.
She was like I don't know, like her, but when I think
Yeah.
about that, like I think about the Tower and like
Yeah.
earthquakey stuff,
Yeah.
that popped into my head. So that was just a little.
Yeah. And now it makes me think of like basically anything from Jagged Little Pill by Alanis Morissette would have worked as well. Because that energy of shaking things down to the foundation and basically, you know what? All right, you're not working for me, you're out, or you destroyed my life, but I'm moving on. So that would, that would have worked as well. So now of course I was stuck, and now we've got 100 different examples. So, and if people have them, we always love hearing from you as well in the comments wherever you happen to be listening. Okay, so thank you. I love that. Yeah, Tori Amos, she's got such a great voice too. Like,
Probably any of her songs could go with the tower, right?
Sure.
Because it's that like, that raw emotion,
totally.
the pain, but then coming out on the other, right? Like the things that we go through that we don't want to go through. And quite often we didn't choose that, but then we're better for it on the other side. So knowing that that's a moment in time, and, so.
A lot of artists too like that. I think of Missy Elliott. Who else would come to mind? Anyways, so we could go on it. Now we could go on a whole musical tangent, but we'll ask the magician as the magician now. So thank you for your tower suggestion. But magician, what song or artist have you been listening to lately?
Okay, so again, first song that popped into my head, I'm gonna go "Black Magic Woman" by Santana.
Santana.
Right?
Great. Yeah.
Again, it's so funny because of the card that I picked. Like it's like whatever deck you're using can really spark different insights for the readings that you're having. So I've picked the Tarot of the Witch's Garden by Sasha Graham. This card has like really created so many insights for me based on the answers that I'm given. If I used a different deck, maybe I would have come up with different answers, but I see Black Magic Woman, and again, such a magical song, and the idea that you can create magic, right?
Yeah, and you think it from a musical perspective too, like Carlos Santana's guitar solo.
Oh yeah,
it's almost like it manifests out of thin air, right? And if I remember right, the song itself, I think that song actually starts with his guitar, like it's just got that little sort of bit of a drum and bass intro, and then he just comes straight in that ding 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 ding, like beautiful smooth guitar, and you're like, oh, where did that come from? So just like the magician manifesting out of nowhere. Now,
I'm gonna go on a limb here. You might have to cut this out so that I don't look like I don't know what I'm talking about. But was there not a version of that by Fleetwood Mac?
I don't know.
Or Lindsey Buckingham? Did he sing that?
Possibly.
I could be wrong. We might have to take that out.
People will never know, because if you're wrong, we're going to take it out.
That's
if you're
true.
right,
okay, see the magic of editing.
Right.
Okay,
and if you're right, they're going to hear this conversation and be like, "Oh wow, okay." It's funny when you talk about the deck, and I thought, and then you mentioned "Black Magic Woman" by Santana, and I thought, well, Rider-Waite Smith with a male magician, Magic Man by Heart would almost fit right in that same kind of genre, but different deck, different image.
Now I have that song in my head. You know what? We're creating amazing playlists. Right? I think at the end of this, Peter,
we have to do.
This is what we're going to do. Yeah. We're going to create a Major Arcana playlist based on our picks of the cards.
Done.
You heard it here first.
Done. All right.
You know how many times I've listened to the Pina Colada song?
Yes. Okay, so that's, that's actually a really, that's a great exercise. Okay, so yes, you heard it here first. You can expect to see the Tarot with Bonnie and Peter Major Arcana playlist in the same places that you listen to our podcast, on Spotify and on Apple Music. We'll make sure that the playlists are available. So, all right, woo, great idea. Okay. Now I've lost track of where. Oh no, we're done all our questions. Okay, so now
we're done those questions. We're on to the more serious ones now.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, Tower. What is blocking or challenging me right now?
Okay. Look, I'm going to go with the cliche answer. So what's blocking you or challenging you right now is a shaky foundation. It's a structure that appears to be sound, but isn't. So I always think if the tower would advise you, it would tell you to check your foundation. Check the supports that you have in place that are holding you up. How strong are they? And then, that's I think the clear advice from what's blocking or challenging you right now is is a weak foundation or weak walls or a weak support system, with the ability to be able to check in, for the people or things that might usually provide support, and it might be, calling, hey, you know what, look, I need you to step up because I need a little bit of a stronger foundation, or it might be looking elsewhere, for the time being or for longer periods of time to get the support, the foundation that's needed. So that's the block right now.
Thank you, Tower.
You're
I
welcome.
That is bang on. It resonates.
Does it? Okay. All right.
You know what? The other insight I'm getting today is that as we're picking these cards and reading for each other, these are messages that we're meant to
Yeah.
hear.
Right.
So, by you picking the Tower and doing that reading for me, that's the message that I need to hear right now. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
And you know full well that, I could use some magician, energy and reading. So you're very right. You're very right. So I'm going to ask then, magician, what is blocking or challenging me right now?
Okay. What is blocking or challenging you right now, Peter, as the magician? I would say, and this is going to sound harsh. I don't mean it to sound harsh, but like the idea of giving your power away, right? The idea of asking other people for advice about what you should do. And that could be in different respects in your life right now. So I think a lot of times we want something in life and we maybe don't think that we have the ability to make that happen because of circumstances, but holding a vision and knowing that you are a powerful creator. I think that we don't realize how powerful we are as like a human being in this physical body. So I'm going to say the challenge is thinking maybe that some things are out of your control, which they might be, but not realizing the power that you have to improve that situation or to make something happen.
Okay. Well, now that makes perfect sense. So thank you. It's always, yeah, I won't say any more than that other than, thank you for your advice, magician. It's well timed and well needed as well. So, can I ask you another question then?
Yes,
All right.
absolutely.
So, what will support me to move forward?
Okay. If you know me and if I'm the magician, I'm going to say having an intention. With the magician comes great power,
There's
right?
a
What was that?
surprise.
Right? Are you surprised, people? Um,
Of course.
what is that from Spider-Man? With great power
Power
comes great
comes great
responsibility.
responsibility. That's correct.
You have power, Peter, and it is your responsibility to use your power. But sometimes if we don't have a focus for that power, then it's hard for that to manifest in our life. So I'm going to say sit down and really think about what it is that you want to create. What are you welcome? And this lines beautifully with this new moon in Cancer. As we're recording this, the new moon in Cancer is rising, or like in a few, like 24 hours or something like
No,
that.
I think yes, I think you're right. I think it's 48. I think it's on the 20. We're recording this on the 24th, and I think it's on the 25th or 26th.
It's on the 25th, but in the middle of the night. So anyway. Yeah. So I'm really going to say sit down, set an intention for, again, what it is that what you want to welcome in. It could be something watery if we're going with that Cancerian moon, right? Like nurturing, what will help to nurture you, what feels secure for you, like in your home. If we think about the body as the home, anything like that, set an intention for that. And what are some steps that you can start taking that align with that intention? So putting that intention out there, knowing that you don't have to micromanage every little single thing, but knowing that keeping that vision and that desire as your focus for the outcome that you want to see, and then aligning with the actions that you can take with that. So that is my advice to help support you to move forward.
And I love the idea of an intention as well. And thank you. I will definitely. And this is, you're right. Astrologically, this is a good time to be able to do something like that, especially if it's around things like emotional support and things around the home too. So Great.
Mhm, mhm.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Tower. In this stream of
I know
chaos,
it's
what
yeah.
will support me to move forward?
Well, so if we think about the last question, around what's getting in the way, then the idea of moving forward, it is that question really of what do you need to rip down so you can build it better and stronger, so that the next step is
Mhm,
kind of twofold. It's what first steps do you take to be able to build a stronger foundation, and I wouldn't stop at that though, because the tower, building the foundation isn't necessarily the tower's domain. But what the tower does say, and I talked about this, 15 or 20 minutes ago, we were chatting, the tower isn't intended to make you comfortable. So what do you need to do to move forward? You need to get out of your comfort zone, right? You
mhm,
need to do something that makes you uncomfortable. And that is difficult. Um, that is difficult. So you have to, and I think you have said this before, sometimes you have to embrace those tower moments, because when we sit in them, we are at times uncomfortable. We don't like being there. We like that, to go back to what you'd said, that Cancerian comfort of home. We like that. But the tower is not water. The tower is fire. And the
mhm.
tower does destroy things with the with giving you the ability to be able to rebuild them. So, but to be able to do that, you have to sit in discomfort to be able to do that. So that's kind of the step forward. Step forward is, what am I going to rebuild now that I've looked at the towers, knocked everything down? And am I going to be okay? Or I am going to sit in discomfort for as long as it takes to be able to rebuild what I need to rebuild with a stronger foundation.
Thank you, Tower. That hits so many points for me. I actually just wrote a newsletter about this,
Oh,
about sitting in a space of
mm,
discomfort, right? And so many times we just want to bypass that or be like, okay, this really hurts. What's the next thing? And being in that space of
mhm.
discomfort is where expansion happens. It's where healing happens. And I'm definitely in that space right now in so many different areas in my life. There are so many tower moments happening around me. So I appreciate that reminder coming from you to remind me that it's okay to be in the discomfort. And for me, the tower is hiding. It's like I like hide, and then the tower is forcing me to come out. And
Mm.
that being out there is extremely uncomfortable for me. So thank you. Thank you for that support.
You're welcome. And I want to point out too, for people that are listening or watching, like, as Bonnie and I are embracing the characters of the cards and giving our advice, and then hearing the advice coming from another character. Today in particular, I found it difficult to go back and forth between the two, because after hearing poignant guidance, to then have to turn around and take on the role of the personification of the guide themselves, like to have to embrace, I'm hearing what to me was some, very poignant information coming from the magician, and then to have to go back and take on the role of the tower and be like, okay, this is actually hitting personally. I got to put it aside a little bit. Oh, it's an interesting. We're really talk about go out of our comfort zone. This whole exercise at times is taking us out of our comfort zone. So, but I've enjoyed it.
Yes.
I'm enjoying the I guess the randomness of of pulling a card and then having to think just through the lens of that card for 40, 45, 50 minutes that we're doing this exercise. So it's been
And it also highlights how powerful one card's message
totally
can be,
no question.
right? A lot of times, and again, if you're new to tarot, you're curious, it can seem overwhelming. There are
Mhm,
78 cards.
mhm,
People do Celtic crosses. They pull 21 cards in a
mhm.
spread. Like,
Correct.
you don't have to
Correct.
do that with tarot. You can get amazing messages and
Yep.
insight and clarity just from one
Mhm.
card.
It's
You can even work with one card. Like, I think
correct.
Kim Kranz, she has an exercise where you pull one card and you work with that card for a month.
Mhm.
Like, that's how powerful these messages are. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of the reasons I stopped working with reversals when I'm doing both client and personal work, although I have done some reversals recently, but it's very rare, is because I find that the messages that we can get from just one card are so deep. And we have 78 different opportunities to go deep with cards. Why do we need 156? Right? Like we've got 78 already. Like, so, part of the reason why I stopped working with reversals was because of that, was because there is so much depth in just one tarot card. So,
yeah, absolutely.
All right. All right.
Well, Peter, that was a great episode. As usual, if we can pat ourselves
on the back.
How can people find you? What do you have going on?
Well, people can find me two ways. As we mentioned, peterwhitetarot.com is my website, or tarotwithbonnieandpeter.com is our collective website, where you can head to the About Me pages and link to each of our personal sites. For me, the big thing I'd be working on right now is the Cards of Leo. So the Cards of Leo is the second webinar in my Cards of the Zodiac series. For those of you that participate in the Cards of Cancer, the Cards of Leo will be very similar. We'll take a look at the astrological links of the cards for Leo season. So we'll look at the Major Arcana, the Minor Arcana cards. We'll look at the seasonal cards. We'll look at the narratives that those cards tell. And then, of course, we'll look at practical ways that we can use both kind of the cards, but also draw intention actually from some of the meanings of the cards. See, Bonnie, I'm learning from you. Draw intention from cards. And that's happening, I think, live. It's happening on July 12th. I'll be promoting that shortly. Right now, the only people that can sign up for it are people who actually had signed up for the previous Cards of Cancer. I like doing that. I like leaving it what I call a loyalty window, which, for people who kind of sign up for something, then it kind of gives them an opportunity to sign up before other people. But it will be available at an early bird price as well, probably within the next couple of days. So if that's of interest to you, that's what I've got going on. Of course, you can always sign up for the full 12 seminar bundle. That's where we'll talk about everything starting from Cancer. We'll make our way all the way to Gemini in 2026, and you'll get a monthly look at what will end up being all 78 cards of the tarot, but just through an astrological lens. So I'm excited about that because it really does marry two things that I'm quite passionate about. I just posted actually a review from one of the people who had attended the Cards of Cancer. They had wonderful things to say. So, if you're looking for some kind of validation, if you're thinking about, oh, is this for me? Pop over to I think it's on my Instagram feed, pop over there and take a look and see what one of the students had to say about the Cards of Cancer experience. So that's what I've got going on. Bonnie, what about you? Where can people find you, and what do you have coming up?
Thanks, Peter. Your course sounds amazing. Of course, I'll be watching.
Excellent.
Yes. Well, again, people can find me at tarotwithbonnieandpeter.com, or they can go to my website at breathewithbonnie.com. I have a online workshop coming up on July the 3rd called Tarot as a Mirror. Not the future, just you right now. So this is a beginner-friendly workshop. If you have a deck of tarot cards collecting dust on a bookshelf and you want to start using it, this would be a great opportunity. I know, right? Or like in a drawer. People tell me, they're like, oh, I have a tarot deck somewhere in my house. I don't know where it is. Go find your tarot deck and come to this workshop. We're going to use tarot in an intuitive way. So you don't have to memorize anything. We're not going to be, reviewing actual meanings of cards. It's going to be working with the tarot in a way maybe that you haven't previously worked with it. So yeah, if you're interested, go to my website, check that out. And I hope to see you there.
Excellent. That's excellent. And, I want to thank everybody for seeing you here, whether you're watching us or whether you're listening. We love that you join our community here, that you take a few moments out of your day to listen to what Bonnie and I have to share about the tarot. If you like this, then please, by all means, help grow our community. Share it with somebody who you think might enjoy learning about the tarot, whether it's through conversations we've had with past guests or through exercises like we're doing right now, having dinner with the tarot. Comment, engage, share, like. Those are all ways that we can get our tarot passion in front of other people. But we'd really like to thank you for taking the time joining us today on Tarot with Bonnie and Peter. And we hope to see you again real soon. Bye for now.